Well, this may not have been my intended plan to start off March, but I will take it. So, earlier or this year, both Zach Adele and Michael Cusack announced that they would be ending their 3 season run of Smiling Friends and pursuing their projects to avoid burnout, which I will say right off before I get into ooh, the top of this video, I respect immensely. I mean, I have maintained at this stage of my life that not every animated show has a lesson on SpongeBob or Scooby Doo have, and that's what I would ideally want for anyone in that kind of environment to not be prolonging a show's run for the money, nor to be he he canceling it before it has a chance to reach full potential and leave me wanting more. And also to have a good way to stop. They do plan to make a couple more specials. Also, even with that in mind, and other things I'll talk about in a few moments. Well, one I use for the thumbnail for the third season finale actually works pretty solidly as a series finale as well. I mean, also, oh, I normally don't watch episodes that technically set during Christmas out of season, but given this circumstance, I'll make an exception, and I'll get to that moment. Even though I'm not going to be just every single episode in this video of both these seasons, I will be talking about my favorites I've rewatched, watched to give an idea and send off like I did when I looked at the first season after it debuted. So, let's talk. Here are my thoughts on seasons 2 and 3 of the hit Adult Swim show Smiling Friends. Let's get started. Let's start with some of the ones I enjoyed in season 2 first. I mean, it really led off with quite the experience with Gwimbly, a a bunch of other words, but given how that's a focus, let's just call this one Gwimbly, where it starts off with Alan hosing down a former Collectathon platform mascot turned drifter on their driveway, and Gwimbly, he, who despite it claims otherwise, is willing to who do emotes from his game for as little as a 5 spot on Venmo, and also the whole realistic scene of him fulfilling a cameo request. I mean, I have not used it, but I am open to doing so. Anyway, Pam and Reluctant Alan trying to help him get back in the spotlight, right? Even though his company and industry have long since moved past him. In many ways, this is basically how I'd approach yet again another attempt to revive Bubsy. A less obnoxious behavior, more self-deprecation, and I'll say that a lot of things that he goes through, like him being homeless, his inability to find work, hurt beyond on minor recollections of his past, and especially the way he lost his partner, Mr. Millipede. Those are all quite common for a lot of minor celebrities, unfortunately. And the B plot's pretty wild because Charlie ends up being functionally held hostage for someone he's trying to help smile. I'd also be abusing the company creative for increasingly flimsy reasons, man. And the way it's resolved is every bit as hilarious as it is horrific, man. It definitely fits the same mold as the earlier Adult Swim shows where they were every bit as absurd as they were inappropriate. An Alan adventure in which Alan's quest to restock paper clips turns out to be part of an elaborate scheme by his neighbor in his apartment building to get him to play Burnout Revenge on PS2, one of my personal favorite installments of the franchise, mind you, while consuming copious amounts of diet drinks. Man, actually it pairs pretty well with those kind of varieties. He's with, especially when you go to unlock the pop culture curse, serial numbers spot off just enough that they're legally distinct from things like the Batmobile, the Little Land Back to the Future trilogy, and the Afterwave from Ghostbusters, but you can still tell what they are, or if you know what to look for. And just the idea he is actually dangling a helicopter with the recurring SoundCloud rapper DJ Spitz, man. And the whole big action movie-esque chase is to try and reclaim his paper clips. I'd say he's definitely among the many characters that stand out at me here. Brothers Egg, in which it's a request to help a scientist that's named Professor Psychotic, given name Daniel Psychotic, in his experiment to try to create life by injecting his own DNA into eggs, and in a lot of respects, he's been called something like a reversal of Rick Sanchez. While both are brilliant mad scientists, Rick seems to always be eager to prove he's his own intellectual superior, and not really be bothered too much if things go awry in his experiments. By contrast, Daniel correctly recognizes failure as a necessary element of the scientific method, like the old saying, you just found 1,000 ways that don't work, and you use that to build upon what to do next. Even when one of the experiments ends up dying, and after a few moments out of the egg, he actually crushes it with a copy of the God Delusion, since that's actually, it's not just for a larf, he's trying to actually give his own life meaning after losing a loved one. At the same time, his brother, or Doug, a laborer, has also been affected by the mutual loss. Us, even, which is every bit as dramatic as hilarious by being rotoscoped in a way that's clearly bleeding into each other, and having like a MS Paint keepsake photograph on his mobile. And even though I don't plan on spending $80K on a science lab, I definitely will say this is one of the few examples why I've been trying to experiment more myself with topics I normally wouldn't have addressed in the years past, which tends to help whenever everything's seems to be on fire more as than one. And it's certainly pretty interesting how this documentary that their TV is stuck on the break room about two overgrown infant brothers fighting over the ham and reconciling over it actually parallels the main storyline in this one. And season 3 leads off with Silly Samuel, a very peculiar individual living out of his car, but no one takes it seriously because of his comical appearance and voice, so he basically has to eat his own own silly sausages that he grills off the block of his car, which of course spontaneously combusts after that, and trying to get its cosmetic surgery or even just putting on a different outfit are definitely no go. Because those the surgery would impact veins and vital organs, and and he also breathes through his skin, kind of like Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5, man. I've, and but in a way, the silliness ends up being the ideal distraction, and helps one avoid disaster. Or and I'm trying to remember which one it was I saw this in, but I kind of find it amusing how Charlie's his inner voice is a puppet version of Jesse Ventura, who's almost as off the wall as a real deal, and not like a Muppet either. It's more like, say, like one of the spitting image puppets. I mean, like, is where, especially, but whether it's the more recent version or the original one of the '80s, it's that show is also really appropriate, but also really funny if you're into that.
Mm.
And we also have an episode that translates to the mysterious voyage of Mr. Frog, and it's every bit as as hilarious as it is surprisingly dramatic, in which it's Mr. Frog achieved all the things he wanted to do in his life, but despite that he still has a strained relationship with his widower father, who is played by a live action and Creed Bratton in green body paint and brown shorts, or it's at which is always, and whenever he showed up in any show or work, he is definitely does everything and way past 11. And so, and even someone like the photographs of his past, I'm not even going to reveal here for those who have not seen it. Let's just say some of the people he met, it's wild. I mean, you know, and also some of the things he's done too. Squim returns after Charlie fakes sick to play a new real time strategy game on his computer, which the boss catches him because he is able to look at his Steam account, and mainly because he also plays the game on downtime. He ends up getting sick for real after eating some kebabs, disagree with him, and going on a very trippy fever dream back to the office and then to the hospital. And before that, the sub ends up being the original Smiling Friend, and Mr. Squim, in which the way he's animated is being distinctly different from everyone else. How fluid he can be and different color palettes. Basically, it looks similar to a lot of earlier shows from Cartoon Network and Nick in the '90s if you grew up watching those. Only his methods are not exactly the best, like, as which culminates in the authorities having to take extreme measures, and and naturally because Charles is so dedicated, making it he ends up getting to keep his position after he recovers, or his main. And let's just say that I typically a, would not eat kebabs that have not been stored in a cool, dry place. A be that a refrigerator elsewhere. Heck, I don't even and eat things that I do normally unless they're in a very specific way. The Mughals, in which it's I have to help a bunch of quasi Dr. Seuss or Smurf type characters from an evil a warlock who seeks to use their fluids to regrow his hair. It seems a bit more extreme him when they've been sending Rogaine over the counter ever since I was very small. All not only and even the only stoic Charlie, he he ends up losing it after Pym gets kidnapped, and he ends up having to train them all to take their lives in their own hands, like in 80s his action movie. Some of the montage, which again results in some of the guys being rotoscoped, reminds me a little of like the cult classic Jim Cotta, man. And just and even with the discourse around whether or not to use real pictures in the cartoon, I personally am okay with if it adds to what they're doing, where the fact they're just hanging out in front of the pharmacy, drinking fountain drinks, waiting for or the warlock's hair care product to be filled, it just adds to the absurdity of it all. Now, the conclusion, the Glep ep, with everyone's favorite fast talking, Heen, Heen, Heen Green, Heen friend in a wizard hat leaving, Heen on Christmas even. Then he wanders around as both he and the boss wonder what his purpose is, as it turns out he actually has been around a long time, that he is like found out that Glep, and this is a big one, is functionally immortal, all, all given and also has been involved in a very bizarre way through everything from the Black Plague, the fall of the Roman Empire, and the Revolutionary War, name a few. He definitely he helped the boss smile the first time when he found him, quite literally, he on the streets of Philadelphia in 1982. I was born even, and this close any at all in front of the place where he ends up opening up the self-help group they want, and as they reconcile with also having some loved ones there, they have a proverbial Last Supper, and it's also stock images, so I take my JPEG steak medium weld personally. Yeah. I mean, I still, as I reiterate, I respect the creators immensely for wanting to who end the show on their terms, at least for the time being. I also I'm very much open to the idea of giving us a couple more specials until they move on with their projects. Uh, Using like the previous one's barometer, I think I could see something like the one they went to Brazil. He'll they had made something as simple as like screwing up the hotel reservations and so I just try again another time. I'm entertaining and hilarious. I'm usually the kind of person that works out that kind of logistics like months, if not a full year in advance at minimum. So, yeah. And I also check out to see what the how the airports serve as well. Also, and we definitely I think it's another reason why that whole airline food lexicon is dropped out with both the airports and the planes having more artisan options. So I suggest a new touchstone for uniform, Emily Bland, and food. I nominate Golden Corral. And with that in mind, I definitely look forward to seeing what Hidel and Kiyosaki come up with next. And I will definitely be checking out the other anime works they've done, such as the Bushworld Adventures short and the YOLO trilogy. The very offbeat, Australian hilarious ones at that. So when I also just liked how a key trait distinguished it from other adult animated shows, where even given how like a lot of cynicism is a key component of so many, it's definitely nice to see, however bizarre and offbeat it may be, the core concept is to help people down luck smile again, no matter how much it takes and how much hilarity ensues in the process. That'll be all for now. I'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone.